So how was your weekend?
Pretty good. I was up in the mountains for a bachelor party. And don't ask me exactly where because I don't know.
I was going to say, because, well, just for the watchers at home, Ricky tells me, oh, I'm going to Philly for the weekend. And then I'm like, hey, how was your trip back from Philly? And he's like, oh, I'm still in the mountains. I'm like, oh, the mountains of Philly. Cool.
So that was like 9 a.m. on Monday when we were leaving. Yeah, I don't know. It's like a bit past the Poconos. It's like...
demonstrably not Philly.
Yeah, well, 2
like
hours
so
north
extremely
of Philly.
not Philadelphia.
2 hours northwest. I had to stop into Philadelphia because... Oh, Jesus. I'm going to repeat that because I moved the mic and it's going to have a horrible noise. I'm sorry to Future Lane for that.
God.
I said Philly because, that's where I had to stop in, right? Because I take the bus and I don't drive. For all the watchers at home, I don't drive, so...
They knew. They knew that. They
probably knew that.
They could tell. They heard it.
Yeah, it is just something in my demeanor that denotes it. But I have spent more in the last year in like buses going back and forth than I would have on like the lease of a car, which is just like crazy to me because it's easily like 200 something a month, easily. So it's like, all right, wow.
You've been going back and forth to Philly that much? 200 a month?
When my grandma died,
a car lease is going to be way more than 200. Way more than 200 a month now.
You think?
There are no car notes for that cheap. 100% sure.
I'll say I found one for cheaper than that, which is why I said that. But anyway, I have been looking around. But
maybe for like a 264 month lease. Like you are not getting a car note for that cheap. Anyway, I don't know.
The one I was looking at, it was pre-owned. Whatever. But yeah, cars are expensive. But anyway, yeah, I was going down.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
I was going down like every other weekend when my grandma died, and it's like $120, right, for the round trip. So pretty tough.
That sucks. Yeah,
happens.
But so how
but
was
I'm back now? The trip
weekend?
was great. The trip itself was great. Yeah, really cool. It was a cute little spot. Lake Harmony, I believe is what it was called. They had a little beach there, which is cute. Yeah, we went out, went drinking. I'm drinking one night, and the next night we just went out and ate. And I don't know, it was a mixed bachelorette party, and we were all in one big Airbnb, so it was fun.
Cute. So the couple likes each other.
They do. Yeah, they have a healthy relationship.
That's good.
Yeah, I was outside smoking, and like I mentioned that it's a joint bachelorette party. And, like, someone who was out there was like, oh, that means they're gonna break up. And I was like, the fuck do you know about them, dude? Like, I got abnormally
Literally
angry.
the
I was
opposite.
like, bro, like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
No.
They were like,
I definitely trust
you
that
can't
more.
do that. Yeah, I'm like, bro, shut the fuck up, man.
True. Fuck that guy. Unless you're a listener, in which case.
Well, if you're a listener, turn this shit off. Get out of here. Right?
Yeah,
We don't
get
need
out of
you.
here. We don't.
Yeah. We got our fans in Brussels. They'll carry us.
Yeah, shout out Brussels. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, hell yeah. Shout out Brussels. Hell yeah.
What
about you? Do anything fun this weekend?
I went to Zumba.
Hell
That's
yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Okay.
I've continued to decorate my Mario Palace in my office, so I had to. I did a bunch of shit this weekend. There's clouds hanging from my ceiling now.
Like pixelated ones or real ones?
Well, neither.
Okay.
They're like polyfill hanging from wire on mesh. So, I also painted Bob on Battlefield from Mario 64. I think I sent that to you all in the chat. So, yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I saw that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let me, I'll take a pic.
Yeah.
Ooh, lightning just struck outside the window.
Ooh.
Scary. Snapping you now.
Matt. I think this happened last week, but you said you were going out to go see Twisters, right? You and Chris went and watched Twisters?
Yeah, I saw Twisters. Yeah, that movie
How was it?
Fucking dookie from a butt.
Sucked.
Yeah, I hated that movie.
That's a shame.
Yeah. I don't like Glenn Powell. I don't like his little veneers. I don't like his squinty little face.
Okay, fair.
I didn't like that movie was all like, I'm not going to say the words climate change. Which is like a basic.
Oh, did they dance around that?
They didn't say. Yeah, no, they never talked. They
didn't mention it.
The closest they got was saying like these things keep happening more and more every year, but that's
Oh,
all
okay.
that they said. And it's like, okay, guys,
Did
sure.
did they mention
Like,
the concept of superstorms, which is like a very real thing? No. Okay.
Nope.
Happens.
Nope. No,
Oh.
I have no idea how accurate the science was, but I did not get the vibe that it was like super accurate. So-
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, speaking of climate change, when we were up there, it started hailing. It was like, I mean, it was like 80 degrees out, and I know hail, like, it forms in the like clouds or whatever, and then it comes down. So fine, whatever. But still, fucking like dystopian and weird as fuck to like be out in the sun, and then like at night it's just
Hail
like
just
hailing down, like big chunks too. Like they were smacking, like we could hear smacking the car door, smack the windows and stuff. It was crazy, very cozy, but also like, I don't know, just weird.
So like the AWOL Nation song "Sail," but instead it's "Hail." Is that it?
Yeah.
It took me a minute. I wanted to.
Yeah.
I'll cut out all the really long pause I took. Can you introduce the show?
my ADD. Sorry. Yeah. So
No, wait.
My name-
Wait, actually, blame it on my GHG, like greenhouse gases. Hail.
Ooh.
Wait, we have a whole thing here.
Hail.
Are we geniuses? Anyway, okay. Please actually introduce the show like I asked you to.
But yeah, no problem. Welcome to We Want to Watch. My name's Ricky.
I'm Lane. Welcome? Do we
Yeah.
say welcome now?
Yeah. People should feel
That's
welcome
too many
listening to
W's.
us.
That's too
Welcome to
many
We Want to
W's.
Watch. Welcome, wind listeners, to We Want to Watch. And that wind is kind, not blind. They could be blind too. I'm sure they're kind and blind if they are.
What's the premise of our show? What is this show about?
So we review movies that we want to watch.
Do we review them?
We kind of review them.
Is that what we do?
Yeah, we give our takes, our thoughts, impressions, and then we talk about other shit for an hour, and then, you know, we go back to thoughts, impressions.
We talk about which actors' pubes we want to floss with. Like,
I mean, yeah, among other things, you know. I was thinking of the food tangent we went on with
eat, drink,
Eat,
man.
Woman, Man. Okay, yes.
Eat, pray, love woman.
I wasn't sure what the last word was. I was like, all right, it's eat, woman, man. I was like, there's something else in here, man.
This week was a Rick's pick.
It was Barry Lyndon. So I'd mentioned this one before when, I don't know if this was included in the episode, but after we had watched Amadeus, I was like, oh, this looks like Amadeus. And I really liked Amadeus. Why don't we watch Barry Lyndon? And Lane said, no, give it some time to breathe. And I'm really glad we did. I'll be honest with you.
I'm pointing to my head.
Yeah,
Yes.
Not just a hat rack, eh? Yeah. Right out the gate, I did not like this movie as much as Amadeus. And
I'm
Barry
not surprised.
Lyndon is a shithead who deserved to get his leg taken from him. Yeah, it's just my opinion. Cancel me for it.
You know, watching this, so this isn't the first time I've watched this movie, but when I
Mhm.
was watching it last night, I was like, I wonder if Ricky's gonna come in here like, man, this Barry Lyndon guy's kind of cool.
You know, something
the
about him, not
scoundrel.
so bad. Yeah, the scoundrel swindler, I can get behind this, man. you
He's
know?
kind of based, yeah.
Yeah, barely holding on to life by the seat of his pants. There's something to that, man. I don't know.
Barely Lyndon? Barely
Barely
There's something
Lyndon?
there.
Mm?
No, I'm not surprised. This movie is a little bit more just like, it doesn't have the wow factor that Amadeus does. So,
Yeah.
I still think that this is an incredible movie, but yeah, I mean, it can't,
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of can't
really
compare.
good movie, right? But their rapscallion is not as endearing as the other rapscallion.
Oh no,
Johann
and he's not
Amadeus
supposed to be,
Wolfgang Mozart.
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had heard of this movie before, or was it just because I had put it on the list?
Yeah, I had heard of this movie before, specifically to, I believe it was like Young Thug songs placed
Okay,
to,
yes.
like AMVs of this
No.
movie.
No.
No.
It's,
No.
I believe it's 21 Savage. Is
Yes,
the song.
yes.
'Cause it's,
Yeah, because he's British, right? Yeah.
Yes. It's the I think the song is A Lot, the 21 Savage
How many
edit,
cards
which I
you
was
got? A
going.
lot. How
I
many
can
times you cheat? A lot. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Wow, a lot of parallels there. How many parallels you draw? A lot.
I considered sending that video to you last night, but I was like, if he hasn't seen the movie yet, then I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, it'd
for
be a spoiler.
you by sending that. But yeah, I'll put that in the show notes. Listeners, watchers, there's show notes. If you didn't know this, there's always show notes. I'm always putting stuff in there. You should read them. People tell me, oh, I didn't even know there were notes. Read the show notes.
I tell Lane that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'll put the video there because it is really funny. It's a great matchup.
Is it Barry Lyndon 21 Savage by Jamie Yeeks? Actually, this
idea.
Went up 5 days ago, so it's probably not that.
It might be. It gets taken down all the time. I know.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. There'll be a little after.
A little after treat.
Pod. Yes.
A delicacy. You get the Ferrero Rocher at the end.
Yes. So I wasn't sure if you'd seen it or not, but so is that your only exposure to this movie?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I was expecting something a lot closer to Amadeus, like a timepiece or period piece. I mean, like the time period was right? That was kind of what I was expecting.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah, and I had seen the fights before, like the ones in the very beginning. Didn't really know. I thought most of the movie was like that. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting going into this. Almost like a Braveheart-esque thing, I think is what I was hoping for. Like, you see a couple cool battles, and then, like, we hear the plight of, like, one nobleman, or, like, one...
Yeah, it's not an adventurous, exciting story. It's very much a satire, satirical, drama. I think this movie's really funny. It's not, of course, nothing, like, it's not as funny as Amadeus.
It's not
laugh out loud, but it is still very funny.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I'm sure now, you can see why I was like, we need to put some more distance between these two so that, you can kind of fully appreciate this movie for its own merits and not just constantly comparing it.
Yeah, I mean, I would have torn into it if we had watched it like right after Amadeus. I'd be like, this is
I know,
shit.
Yeah.
There's not even a jaunty little tune that they play. And it's like, but Rick, they do play jaunty little tunes. I'm like, no, not like that. Like,
they're not jaunty enough.
Yeah. I couldn't get my jaunt on at all.
So, have you, what Kubrick movies have you seen? Because this is a 1975 directed by Stanley Kubrick, which you did not say when you introduced it.
Barry Lyndon, 1975, Stanley Kubrick.
Have you seen other... So I'm assuming you've seen, like, 2001.
Oh, I have,
Shining.
Saw part of The Shining, not all of it.
Oh, right, we talked about this.
Yeah, I'm looking up Kubrick right now.
Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket.
Nope. I've only seen The Alchemist.
Doctor Strangelove.
Doctor Strangelove? No.
Shadow Christopher. Okay, well, you've seen 2001, so you've got
yeah. I'm looking through this. That's like the only one. Yeah, I kind of get what's going on. Yeah.
We'll watch The Shining for this show someday. We'll do that.
Okay, yeah.
But
I mean, he's got a ton of movies, so I might watch some of these myself.
He really
Spartacus looks kind of interesting.
He does not have a ton of movies. He kind of famously has like 8 movies. For having like a 50-year career, he doesn't. I mean, he has,
I'm looking at least 12 here, 15-ish.
Okay, so he has 12 movies over the course of 50 years.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's worth a date. I'll watch
anyway,
some of them.
Yeah. It's just interesting because this movie, I've seen a little over half of Kubrick's films, and this one
4
has
of them.
I've seen most of them, but this movie, Barry Lyndon, has a unique kind of look to it. I mean, it still looks like a Kubrick movie. It's got the kind of like really slow, long takes, a lot of the same like zoom tricks that you might have seen or remember from like the Shining clips that you've seen. And like the kind of like sterile, the movie's very sterile.
Yeah.
But it has this warmth to it and kind of like coziness because of the way it looks, just like the period it's set in and all the candlelight and like the kind of like film stock that is used, or maybe lens. I'm not really that technically proficient in, how movies are made, but like just the way it looks very different than any of his other movies as far as like the kind of like graininess, and it really obviously the time period's very different than anything else he's made as well, so it just stands out in a way. It's very kind of just strange compared to all of his others, and yeah, it does kind of give you that, like, I don't think this is a boring movie, but it does leave like a little bit of like, okay, when's it gonna like get like intense? Like it
Right.
lacks intensity.
Yeah. Everything is sort of understated, I guess, right? Like, even like when they break like huge news, it's always like, I don't know. I'm thinking of the scene specifically where Barry walks in to Mr. Lyndon. I forget what his official name was, Sir Lyndon, before he dies, right beforehand.
Oh, and, yeah, when he like makes him laugh to death, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he gets him
Or
super
not laugh,
flustered,
yeah.
but he was just like, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, he was pissed. Like his blood pressure was going up and up. But like the way that Barry just sort of like comes in and he's like, I don't even know why he was there. Like, I guess just to antagonize the guy, because he was like,
he's basically like,
are you
I'm
done with my wife? Yeah. And like Barry was like, I was simply asking after what is it?
Her religious, advice or counsel. Yeah.
And the guy's like, listen, I'd rather be known as a cuckold than a fool. All right, so like, just get out here, tell me what you gotta tell me. All right. I'm glad my wife is getting ready for me to leave the homestead, okay? Like, he was so, like, it's a lot of, like, cutting insults, but they're all, like, backhanded, right? Like, they're all very, like, oh, like, I'm glad you're doing so well now that I'm about to die. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, cool, right? Fuck you, then.
Yeah. Well, and then he ends that scene, the last thing he says before Lyndon's last line, he's like, oh, maybe I'll live to see,
you hanged.
Barry die.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we'll see who laughs last. And that just sends him into a fit. Like, he has a conniption at the table. He's like, he's got like 55 jowls, in that way that only British people can do.
Yeah. Just like the rolls on their wigs, right?
Yes.
That's what we've like, that's how we've adopted that, like I guess, from them.
Like a gingerbread house, like looking type, like style, I guess. I don't know. Just like the like ringlets of like white hair and like the makeup. The makeup is so funny.
Yeah. A lot, especially like the beauty marks that they have on sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll put them right in between, like right in the middle of their forehead. Like,
I don't know why that tickled me about it too. Just because it's like, I don't know.
It's ridiculous. It's with modern eyes, of course, like that sort of like pompous, ostentatious makeup just looks so silly, especially like when you're dueling. It's like, this is supposed to be this like, I mean, it is like this extremely violent thing that they're doing, but they kind of dress it up in a way that's supposed to, make it more like gentlemanly or like classed or whatever. But obviously the satire of it is that they look fucking ridiculous while they're doing it.
And even in the duels, like before they're reloaded or whatever, or whenever they get a chance to like be like, hey, like, you want to call this off? They don't say that. They're like,
are you satisfied yet?
Yeah, are you satisfied? Because I could give you like a couple $100. Would that make you satisfied?
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Yeah. It's funny. But it is like the whole movie is very understated. What you said earlier, cozy, 100%. I mean, I was watching this while it's like raining out, and it almost gives like lazy Sunday vibes, just sort of like hanging out, watching Barry Lyndon. Very Lindy, very Lindy.
Lindy?
Lindy, yep, yeah. Like Lindy walks, it's Lindy.
What does that mean?
It's just word? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe it's not a Rickyism. It's a Twitterism. It's just like things that like survive the test of time are Lindy, and actually, I'd say it's a bit of a of an alt-right flag. Yeah, you got to look out for it. People that say that, you got to keep an eye on.
You can't say shit like this, bro.
I can say shit like this. I'm dropping it.
I'm
dropping
gonna have
truth bombs.
Please don't attract any kind of fucking weirdos onto our show. Oh my god.
With one word said 20 minutes into a very Lyndon episode.
Yeah, it's the fucking SEO is gonna trigger. It's gonna know in the show notes. Yeah.
They're gonna like, Elon Musk would love this. Put it to the top of his feed.
Lindy, why not just say timeless? What the fuck?
I don't know. I just like saying it. I think it's funny. It's not a stupid word. It's funny. It sounds funny.
Does it? It doesn't sound funny. It sounds...
All right. Not very Lindy.
The internet's cooked. Yeah, no, I'm not fucking Lindy. Isn't that a name? Isn't Lindy a name?
Is it?
Anyway.
Linda.
Shout out Linda.
Shout out Linda.
So...
Shout out anyone named Lindy. Lundy? Lundy Law?
Lundy Bancroft? Shout out Lundy Bancroft. Actually, not really. He's kind of a
name?
transphobe. But he wrote a great book. So, Lundy Bancroft? He wrote...
Don't know.
Why does he do that?
Shit. Yeah, okay.
The fucking OG. Yeah, great book. Go read that book.
OG.
Anyway. So, something that does, I think, part of why this movie doesn't reach the heights of Amadeus is because, it's kind of a vignette or like a series of vignettes. So it is based on a book from like the 1800s. And I think you can really feel that. Whereas Amadeus, I mean, it's based on a play, but I think there were wild liberties taken with that material. Whereas this, I think, is pretty close as far as like, this feels like a novel. There's not like a lot of like propulsive energy to the story. There's not a lot of suspense. You kind of know, like, you can kind of track, like, it's a very classic, like, rise and fall. So, it doesn't have that kind of like, just like showstopper energy, and the plot isn't as gripping, but it has this kind of like you said, like hypnotic coziness to it, like that you can, I definitely have craved to rewatch this movie since I first watched it. So, it's one that kind of sticks with you and that you remember, I think, for a while afterward, even though it doesn't reach those heights.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like very, very good scenes in it, and like they're woven together well, right? Like, so I mean, I've spoken before about how like Zack Snyder, he like makes really good scenes, right? Like there's like, oh, like that's a cool moment, but like there's a lot of...
You owe me $50 for fucking bringing up Zack Snyder right now.
Such as in the cult classic Watchmen. No, I'm not mentioning Watchmen here. Jeez, cut that, please.
It's staying in.
You don't have to. It's staying in. Yeah. Just 4 minutes of me saying Watchmen on repeat. No, but like, I mean, he's not the only one. But there's like a lot of directors that do make like a lot of good moments in their movies. But the rest of the movie maybe is sort of lacking because of that.
Yeah.
And this movie has some pretty good moments. There again, like it doesn't reach like super huge highs, but the rest of it does not reach super low lows either, right? Like it's very sort of like
it's a steady hum of a movie. Yeah.
There's like nothing that makes me like feel like getting up and leaving. There's no really good intermission times apart from the intermission that they put in.
The literal
at, like,
intermission.
1:45. Yeah. The actual intermission is the only, like, good one, right? Everything else you kind of have to be there for.
Yeah. I do think there are some, like, transcendent moments within this. It's just, again, it's not the whole thing isn't transcendent. I think this movie has a hilarious opening. Like, it's so funny. The scene of him, like, rooting around in his cousin's bosom, like, looking for the ribbon, and he's, like, so nervous. It's so fucking funny.
He doesn't even try to do it, and she's
he's, like,
I shall
nervous.
give you some help then, and she puts his hand up on it, and he's just like, I think I found it, it's like, dude, all right, wow. Also, how old is he supposed to be there? Because they he seems naive, and they always call him like a kid. I don't know.
I guess I envision the actor is like in his mid-30s, so I kind of I guess figure that he's probably somewhere in like the 16 to 20 range, and then by the end of the movie he's like in his early 40s maybe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, he definitely does well in the arc of like naive, kind of like doofus, to like cunning, not cunning, but conniving doofus. He's still a doofus in the end, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's charming, right?
Is he? You think so? Oh, I don't think he's charming at all.
I mean,
think he's naive, but
to the others within the film, he's obviously charming, right? Like he has a charm, and he gets away with quite a bit.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah. I guess I think of him less as charming and more just like, the concept of failing upwards. Like I feel like a lot of it is just like he's so brazen and stupid that he, like I think a lot of people just like. I think part of the point of this is like, oh, this class like structure that he's rebelling against so strongly, it's all fake. And so if somebody challenges it, even a doofus, he can kind of get pretty far. And of course that's his downfall in the same way, like the narrator says, like the skills that make you earn you a great fame and fortune can often be the same that keep you from being able to maintain your fortune. So I think that's kind of part of the humor of the movie is that he's he's not really doing anything particularly like outstanding. He's not like he's just kind of like a goof, and he makes it anyway.
I mean, he doesn't make it all the way across the finish line though, right? Like he's
of
never,
course he gets it all. His hubris
named,
gets in the way. Yeah.
Even before that, like the king doesn't seem disposed to giving it to him because like when he was like greeting everyone and they do the greeting and he's like, oh, and this is Sir, like obviously the guy that's next to the king and introducing him has either been bribed or otherwise coerced into talking more about Barry, and he goes, oh well, he raised a regiment of soldiers and sent them to America.
Yeah, and he's like, that's cool.
Hey, why don't you go with another one then, buddy? Huh? Raise up a second and head across the ocean, why don't you? Just like so flippantly, and the guy's like, all right, well, moving on.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I mean, the nail in the coffin is him beating the fuck out of his
stepson. Yeah, which we should talk about the performances in this at some point. But yeah, I mean, he's too ambitious. He can't just be happy, and he has his mom, in his ear too. At that point in the movie, being like, like your stepson hates you, so if she dies, like you're out on your ass, and so is your son. Which we know that wouldn't be the case, but
it could very well, right? All of her land would cede over to.
I don't know about
his son probably not, but his I think she said his son would his son would be at the mercy of his older brother,
of the stepson, right? Yeah, which but so if he had just kind of like chilled out, been a good guy, of course, which like that's the point is that he's not, then he would have been fine. He would not have had no leg. 20 years ago we had
say it, finish it. Get in there.
We had Steve Legg.
Steve Legg? That's the setup here? Steve Legg? Alright, keep going.
I don't know, man.
No. Steve Legg, Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney?
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember. I can never remember all their names. Johnny Cash. So
like the original
one? We had Steve Legg, Johnny Fortune, and
I thought you were doing body parts. I was going to try to get like an like Army Hammer too. I don't know what.
No, because the joke is Johnny Cash, Steve Jobs, and what's the third one? I can't remember what.
Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon.
No, because the follow-up joke is someone please take care of Kevin Bacon.
Oh, okay, right. Jobs, Cash. What's something that's in short supply recently? Sanity. I
was gonna say bitches. Steve Bitches.
Facts! Wait, nah, that would have cooked me, Lane. You should have said it. Oh, when I was out at the bachelor party, by the way, I got absolutely cooked by our fucking waiter because I got chocolate milk with my food. at dinner.
Your son.
And he came by, and when he dropped it out, it was like, "You want a bendy straw for that?" And I was super, super blazed. I was like way off an edible. I was like, "Yeah, man, for sure." And like he gives me a straw. I was like, "Dude, this isn't bendy." I was like so crestfallen. I was like, "Dude, what the hell, man?" Like
he knew. He fucking
no,
saw.
he cooked the fuck out of me. He had a bunch of light jabs at our table. He was he was a good server.
Good for
He
him.
had a good time. Yeah.
It's Bob Hope. Bob Hope is the
Who
last
the fuck
one.
is that?
Oh my
Bob
god.
Hope,
Okay,
yeah.
Anyway.
We lost him too long ago. I don't remember him.
He was like a comedian. I think he was the host of The Tonight Show at one point, like way back in the day. Or a show just like it, you know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
anyway, so we had Steve Legg, Johnny Fortune, and Bob. What's the third thing they buried?
Oh, Bob Hope.
Well, yeah,
oh no.
Bob class status. Bob landed gentry.
Bob caste system.
Okay, anyway.
All right.
We'll see how much of that makes it through the edit.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough edit. That
was a tough
be on
one.
the chopping block for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be chopped and screwed. Okay, so we should talk about the performances. What do you think of the character or the actor who plays Barry Lyndon?
I think he does a good job, especially sort of in the later scenes where, like, he's with his son, and like when he has his leg cut off, like a lot of those, like I'm like, oh, okay, I feel a little bit more of the emotional tension here. I feel like maybe earlier in the movie he doesn't hit certain like emotional notes the way I feel like they could have. I don't know if that's just a direction thing or, but like when he was playing like the. Alright, so like after he immediately like reveals himself to the spy, right? The Chancellor or whatever it was, yeah.
The Chevalier.
Yes. Chevalier, yeah. Once he goes back and tells like, and he's like giving his status reports, he's just like stone cold in all of them, and I'm like, what? You don't have any rapport with these guys at all?
I can't blame
I don't know.
them. The Prussians aren't exactly great.
I don't know. I mean, like he does hit certain emotional notes pretty well during the film, and I think a lot of the characters do. But I wouldn't say his performance falls flat ever. It's just that it seems almost like robotic, not robotical. Like he's sort of plain sometimes, I guess I'll say. Yeah.
That is so. This movie was originally not very well received, which we don't always talk about. That is something that came up for us on way back in the Thing episode. That was one of the things we talked about. Was just that movie was like kind of panned at the time, and obviously has since been reclaimed as one of like the best fucking movies ever made. Yeah. Especially with how influential it is. Yeah, totally. And this movie, I think, has had a reclamation. This movie wasn't like panned when it came out, but it is, it was kind of like, yeah, it's fine. Like, good job. Right. Like, good, And a big part of that was because people thought the lead actor, who has been in some other movies, I'm trying to think if I don't think you would have seen any of them. If you've heard of Paper Moon or Love Story. Anyway. No.
Right down here, but no.
What? Oh, I'll bleep that. God, it's like you want to sneak in these like little. You know how Chris is, every time he comes on, he's like, "I'm gonna get bleeped. I'm gonna say something horrible and fucking." I do it effortlessly. Yeah. And meanwhile, you're over here like, "I'm gonna slip in something that's going to give my exact coordinates to the audience."
Speaking of parable out here, I want them to know where to send the ICBM. Is it Leon Oh, no, that's not this guy.
No, Ryan O'Neal is the name of the actor who plays Barry Lyndon. So he's kind of also a doofus. He's like a horrible person. He's like, he just died like 6 months ago, not even. But he was like kind of a scumbag, but he didn't have like an illustrious acting career. He kind of pops in a few things and then he kind of more or less fades away. But one of the things people didn't like about this movie was his performance, thinking that he just kind of was one note. You know, I go back and forth. Sometimes it's like, I think people don't give enough credit to actors when they think that they're just kind of playing themselves, or like they're not, you know, they don't. This is gonna sound fucking insane, but like, do you remember the Twilight movies? Like how people were like, "Oh, Kristen Stewart's, you know, she's." Just,
I know
like,
exactly where you're going with this. Yep. Yeah, go on. Yeah, I know exactly where you're going.
Like,
yeah.
She's an actress. Like, she knows how to do that. She's acting so well that people are like, not. You know,
she's
they
actually
she's
awkward
like
and
that.
weird. Yeah. It's like, no.
Yeah.
This is a great performance you're watching. Like, please enjoy it. Especially, the one scene from Twilight with the, I think it was the second movie, because it didn't have that blue overlay, but it's where she's in her room, and, like, the camera's, like, panning around her, and, like, you see, like, the seasons outside sort of, like, change and stuff. It's just, it's a really cool way to show, like, time passing and, like, her depression and stuff. And, I don't know, it was a really cool composition, really cool shot. I think she does really well in that. I think she does really well in all of those movies, honestly. But
she's a good actress.
Yeah.
She's a really good actress. So, you know, people say that kind of thing about this actor in this movie, and it's just, you know, I think it's kind of cheap to be like, oh, they're not actually acting. Like, I'm sure that they, you know, I'm sure it's both. Like, there is such a thing as, like, someone being poorly cast, but, you know, I think that this actor brings the very precise energy to this role that it needs. You know, if he was, like, more knowing or more self-aware or more, like, showy or showboaty, kind of like in an Amadeus way, I think that it would stand out in this movie so poorly. Like, it would make everything feel goofy. And so you need somebody who it's like, is there anything going on behind the eyes? Is he just kind of like a doofus who's failing his way upward? Like, is he charming or are people pitying him? Like, what's going on? Is he naive? So I think it works.
I think he plays that, he does play that fine line well, and he knows how to like ingratiate himself into the good graces of someone, right? In a very pitiable manner, right?
Yeah.
But he thinks himself as above that, right? Like, he does it, but like all the while he's like, oh, this is beneath me. I'm just doing it to like gain an advantage.
Yeah, totally.
But he still does it. It's like, all right, well, like, fine, dude, but you still, I don't know, still being a little scumbag all the time. So
yeah, you're still being pitiable or pitiful,
right.
Like, is it any better?
Yeah, and the way that he, I mean, I loved when he was talking to his son, the little bedtime story. And I got 19 heads, cut 19 heads of them, you know? It's like, all right, yeah, I'm sure you did, buddy. All right, yeah.
Yeah, but then it's so fucking sad when he's saying it to the kid again at the end, you know, when the kid's fucking dying. Have you seen or read that book, or do you know anything about it? Okay.
No.
I won't say anything else on that front. But yeah, that...
All Quiet on the Western Front.
That's my fucking Waterloo. That movie.
Is it?
The one... Did we not talk about this?
I don't think so. I just made a new tangent.
Yeah, open the tabs. Another tab open. Fucking... that movie won a shitload of technical Oscars a couple years ago, and it... Man, I have to work up the energy to...
Yeah, what's going on here?
So, I'm sitting there watching the Oscars, and I did not like the way that that Oscar year went. And that movie in particular, I think that movie's fucking capital B bad. Like, it's not good at all. But, so...
And not in the Shimone type of way.
So, every time that, you know, when you're...
Nothing for that, wow.
When you're... When you're watching the Oscars and they're announcing, like, they'll be like, and, you know, the best actress is blah, blah, blah. And they'll, you know, as the person's walking on stage to accept the award, they will play a clip from, like, a motif of the movie, like a part of the score or, like, a whatever, like, you know, recognizable sound.
Yeah.
And the fucking score...
Or did they do bombs or something? Like...
No, it's worse. It's like... Every time they'd be like, and, you know, best sound design goes to All Quiet on the Western Front. Fucking, it's so awful.
It's like blowing out the speakers.
Yes, it's so bad.
Oh,
the sound is so like dreadful and like not
deep
just
fried.
like yeah, it's awful. It's fucking awful. I will end the episode with this. Future Lane, fuck you. You're gonna have to listen and find that part of the soundtrack that they played over, and they played it over and over. That movie won like 4 Oscars, and so you heard it just brr, 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 all night. All night. It sounds like
Maybe we should do that like all of this episode. It's like no, that'd make it unlistenable.
I'll just keep cutting in.
Yeah.
Every time one of us is like pause. It's just
Yeah. We're like,
anyway,
I really
Jesus.
liked. Boy.
I don't even remember how we got on this.
Oh, you talk about the lead actor's performance and how could be seen as kind of flat.
Yeah.
The Oscars. I made a dumb joke about All Quiet on the Western Front.
Sure. Yeah.
For that, yeah.
I'm looking at the I don't know if you can see the like cover photo on Letterboxd when he's sitting in
I'm taking a gander. Yeah.
the carriage and he like blows smoke in her
I can see
face.
that.
That's when you're like, oh, it's over. This guy's losing a fucking leg and a son.
So that was the exact moment where I went from being like, oh, this guy's just like a rapscallion trying to like do well for himself.
You're like,
to,
fuck this guy.
guy's an irredeemable piece of shit. Go fuck yourself. Especially like
Totally.
like you can tell that she was like a little annoyed at first, and then she was like, Barry, would you mind
Hey,
not
can
smoking?
you not?
And then he turns right into her face and blows smoke
And
in it.
laughs.
Yeah. I was like, this fucking guy needs some comeuppance. Somebody's gotta deliver something just to him.
Have you ever yelled laugh into the mic on this show?
No, would you like me to?
Done this? No, I was just
Okay.
thinking about. It's been a
All
while
right.
since you said that.
It's been a while since I said sorry.
We have fucking insane energy tonight. It's
and
not
the
like
award for
Skrillex.
worst energy.
I'm gonna cut the 21 Savage song to that, like fucking soundtrack from All Quiet on the Western Front, and end the episode with that. Oh my god.
That's gonna be a Frankenstein fucking monster at the end there.
Listen, nothing can be worse than the way I ended the Long Legs app. Literally.
How did you end up ending that?
Oh, exactly the way I sent it to you. I was like,
Yeah?
oh, you don't like this? Fuck you.
Yeah,
I'm not
thanks, Lane.
doing this.
Lane sent this to me, and previously they had sent me just the isolated audio of... That was
Shout out Nick.
Nick. I knew it
Eric.
ended in an ICK. Who I thought had done a really good job with it, right? He sounded a lot like Longlegs, and I was like, yeah, just put it on as is. And he was like, no, it needs music, it needs to be longer, and yada, yada, yada. I was like, all right, fine, whatever. Like, why even ask my opinion with it then? And then they sent me, like, the cut, and they were like, is this too, like, discordant? And I was like, yeah, I think it's a little too discordant. And you're like,
And I was
All
like,
right.
cool. That's exactly
Well,
what I'm looking for.
go fuck yourself, buddy. It's going in the app, okay? We
And
went
you know
back
what?
and
It
forth
was
on
funny.
that for I don't know. There was a sustained
12
number of
hours.
messages, right? Where
Yeah.
you kept going like, "But what do you really think about it?" And I'm like, "No, like I'm telling you honestly, I like the just
yeah, 'cause
Nick's
I
voice
wasn't-
better."
I
You're
wasn't
like,
asking
no, but what do
if
you
it sounded good.
really think? And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what you're getting at here. Is this like, am I not picking up on the social
did-
cue? Like,
It's not that I was asking, does it sound good? I was asking, is it funny? Does it work? And I think it does.
all right,
I haven't had any
okay.
complaints. Actually, Longlegs, very high listened episode already.
Is
One
it?
of our,
That's
in our
good.
top, yeah. So somehow the SEO or the I guess SEO of the episode is not working against us this time. I don't
Yeah.
know. Oh, also, just while we're talking business, I guess.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Talking shop.
Spotify, you can leave comments on episodes now. I turned that on.
Oh, okay.
If you want to leave comments, I guess you could do it on YouTube too, Watchers. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to listen on Apple, fuck you. Sorry, we
Yeah,
can't do it.
go
I
fuck
don't know
yourselves. Yeah.
how.
Go
But,
get a
you know.
Samsung or Android device in order to listen to us specifically.
Yeah, truly.
Oh, I guess you could listen to it on like your TV. Throw it on Spotify on TV. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wait,
YouTube.
can you just put it on Spotify instead of Apple Music? Like
Yeah. If you
Apple
have
Apple
Spotify,
users have
people don't
Spotify.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of
Some
people
of
have
them.
Apple Music and Apple
Yeah.
Podcasts.
I
But
didn't even know about the Apple Pod. Anyway.
anyway, I do think just kind of coming back to the plottiness of this
Mhm.
movie and like the vignette of it all. what did you think of like the war, like him kind of joining, you know, joining in the war, and then like going to the British Army, then deserting, then getting captured, then, you know, like, what do you think of like all of that chain of events?
It makes a lot more sense as a vignette, right? Or like as a series of vignettes, because when I was watching, I was like, all right, like it felt, they felt sort of disconnected from each other, I guess. Just in terms of like, and again, this movie was tough, at least in the beginning, with the passage of time. It's like kind of hard to tell.
Like, how old is he, and how much time is passing? Yeah,
right. Especially because when he met the officer, the Prussian officer, like part of the reason why he was like, "Oh, you're a fake," he was like, "That guy's been dead 10 months." And assumedly he was using the name.
10 months have passed. Yeah.
Right. Assumedly he's using the name of a general, like, which he had heard while on the front line. So like,
right.
At least 10 months, possibly like more, maybe less. I don't know. Maybe news hadn't traveled there. So it's really sort of, I don't know. It's hard to get a sense of, or like a sense of the scale of time and like distance that he's traveling. But as far as stories go, it gives you a pretty good idea of like who this guy is, what he went through, and how almost averse to conflict, to not even just to conflict, but like to work in general, like doing anything, like really like the being like getting in there doing the nitty gritty.
Barry Lyndon doesn't dream of labor.
Yes, when he was riding the horse before he met the young Fraulein.
We should talk about that.
Yeah, when he was just like, and having like purloined these like finer garments, yada yada, whatever. He was like, I found myself back in the position where I always imagined myself to be, and it's like, yeah, dude, like no shit, you just stole a bunch of cash. Of course you feel pretty good. It's like rocking up and stealing a Lambo and a couple $100 and being like, damn, this does feel good. I should live like this every day. It's like, yeah, of course, everyone would like to, but like, you kind of got to do a little something for it.
You just wanted to say the word Lambo.
I actually just wanted to say the word Fraulein.
Of course, I should have known. Of course.
It was one of those words, though. Yeah, you got it.
Yes. That scene is really funny, the way that they're flirting, and he's totally different than he is with, like, he kind of, like, evolves the way that he just, apparently he's pulling hose this whole movie. Yeah. Like, in the beginning, of course, like, with his cousin, he's, like, you know, trembling, he's, like, shaking, like, oh, I don't know if I can touch these boobs. And then he's, like, kind of doing the suave, like, pretending to be, you know, an officer thing with the German woman, and then
he's like, by the time you lonely? Don't you get lonely out here?
Yeah.
How long has your husband been gone?
Yeah, I was gonna say, where's the... Ricky is doing the most fucked up, like, chin rubbing, showing all 65 teeth.
Hey, that's just a defense thing I have, all right?
But then by the time he gets to talk to Lady Lyndon, they don't even talk. He just seduces her by looking at her, basically. It's like, he's like
the
leveled
smolder
up his game quite a bit.
Oh yeah. It wasn't even the smolder too. He was just like fucking wide-eyed, just
stealing cards.
Sitting there across the table. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't even dealing at a certain point. He was just like staring, and it's like
just
all right,
looking at her. Yeah. She's like, I gotta go breathe.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like eye contact is like hot, right? But that much eye contact is a little serial killer-esque. I guess they didn't have those back then, so it was like, I don't know.
They totally had serial killers back then.
Well, hey, Lane, not to cast any stones, but white women love serial killers. All right, I'm just throwing that out there. It's a known fact and true crime. Wow. Maybe she smelled it on him. She was like, this guy, he's a loser, but he could be a serial killer. I gotta jump his bones.
Oh my god. We cannot fucking talk about true crime in this episode.
Oh, okay, alright. Yeah.
No.
And the brainworms that it creates.
Sorry. No, yeah. This True. Fucking. What episode did we talk about this on? We talked about, like, we went on, like, a long rant in, like, an early episode about, like, women being like, if you see a pamphlet on your windshield, run to the police station. Shut the fuck up. No one's kidnapping you in Target.
Yeah.
calm down.
If you see a piece of trash on the ground next to your car, it means that it was placed there in order for
you have
to jump
light
out
it
and
on
grab
fire.
you. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Like,
do not stop walking. That is no longer your car. Run back inside. Dial 911. It's like, all right, well, pause.
Yeah,
like,
okay. Well, now that we're fucking talking about this, I did see one recently where a woman was like,
I had to pivot earlier.
I don't put the carts back in the parking lot because that's when you get kidnapped. It's like, what the fuck? Where one of your kids
so
will
you're
get
just
kidnapped?
inconsiderate and you want to rationalize it somehow. Great, fine, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Very Barry
basically.
Lyndon of you. Yeah.
So we should, moving on to, you should talk
Yeah.
about his relationship with his stepson. What do you make of the stepson?
Oh, he's right. I like the
Totally,
stepson.
right? Like 100%.
Yeah.
I think
Stepson's
the
a great kid.
both actors are great, especially the kid.
Yes.
Like, he's
Yeah.
a good kid actor.
He nails that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Less the
mhm.
little boy, but yeah.
Wow. I think the little boy does well playing the quaint sort of lovable kid, and like he's still a kid, right? I think for how young he was, like 7, 8, around
He's
there.
fine.
He does.
You mean
well.
like the?
Yeah.
I mean the son, like not the stepson, but the son. I think
Yeah.
does less of a good job. Yeah. Okay. Just
Yeah.
making sure.
I'm saying that I think he still
Same kid.
just does well as a child. I think that the stepson does like a very good
He
performance.
does.
I think
Yeah,
that's
excellent.
quite good.
Yeah.
And I would assume that there's 2 child actors for the stepsons. One when he was much younger, and then one as he like sort of comes of age, I guess.
The older.
Yeah. When he leaves, and I think that the younger actually did a phenomenal job because he's only in a few scenes. But the one where they're in the cart, and he's like, "Oh, Master Broadwin, whatever his name is, you seem a bit under the weather.
Yeah.
Bullington, you seem a bit under the weather," and he's just like, "Yeah, well, I'm not gonna be happy, not while my mom's in this state, and like, certainly not getting married, with this much haste to this fucking guy. Something else, yeah, but he really like tears Barry Lyndon apart, and like from then it like he sets the tone for the relationship super well, and then like when Barry like canes him for the first time, it's like, oh, all right,
which.
Well.
I didn't pick up on that the first time I watched this, but when I watched this again, it's not an exact quote of Hamlet, but so like the basic premise of Hamlet.
Yes.
The story.
Yeah.
Like,
I went over that in high school.
Yeah. Okay, I wasn't sure. And so in that play, the mom, Hamlet's mom, is like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, Hamlet, your father you've much offended," referring to his uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And Hamlet says, "Oh, but Mom, you have my father much offended," meaning his actual dad. And so they say that almost verbatim in here, where he says like, "You've insulted Barry Lyndon," and
Yes.
The kid is like, "But you've insulted my actual dad," and that's what leads to the caning. I don't know. It was an interesting. I don't know if that's from the book or
that's what led to the fight. That was right before the fight.
Isn't that when he's a little kid that he says that? I'm pretty sure he's like, "Oh, you've insulted your dad." I'm pretty sure it's when he's a little kid and he gets caned the first time.
When he brings, so like once he has like the like official son, right, and he brings they both walk in during the recital.
Oh, wearing the shoes. No, that's not that, because that's when he's like,
that's
"You're
when
a
he quotes
philanderer and adulterer, and you fucking spend my mom's money."
Right. But
Yeah.
he said that right after. He said like his mom says like, "Oh, you've offended your father, Barry Lyndon," and he goes, "And you've offended." Like you've offended my father, and like this, you've invited this guy in, and he's spending all of our money, yada yada. No, I don't know. All right,
I'm pretty sure it's when he's a kid.
My father was Sir Charles Lyndon. I have not forgotten, and if others have.
Lord Bullington, you have insulted your father.
Madam, you have insulted my father.
But either way, I mean, he's talking about fuck you for marrying this scoundrel.
Yeah.
And then he canes a kid, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
The thought, I mean, hitting a kid in any fucking regard is crazy, but especially like to cane a kid or to whip a kid like that is just, that's fucking
and he almost revels in it too, because he was like, I'm not accustomed to whipping lords across the back.
A lord. Yeah, but I'll do
but
it.
for you,
Yeah.
I'll gladly learn. Like, I'll become accustomed.
Yeah.
It's like, shit, bro. Like,
Yeah,
come
you're
on.
like, whoa, bro.
You got
Yeah.
beef with a 12-year-old? Like, come on.
Yeah, not even. I don't think he's even that old at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And you know, then he gets shot in the leg. Fuck you.
Fucking deservedly. Yeah. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. So, but it is sad still when his kid dies. You know, like
Yeah.
the narrator kind of says, like, it's the only good thing in his life. Or the only good thing that he has in him is in his kid, and now the kid's dead.
Yeah. And it was sort of sweet to see them interact. It was nice to know that, like, he's not, like, just a shitty father. He just hates the kid of her previous husband. It's like, all right, cool. Not cool, but, like, all right, fine. Like, I already have acknowledged that this guy has many flaws. This is just one to add to the list. Sure.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see the, like, more humanity out of him, the sort of kinder, caring side. And honestly, the way that he sort of comes around with his wife after he's like caught cheating, it seems like he has some form of like, because his son does accuse him of openly
almost.
philandering, but it seems like he's sort of like curtailed that, or at least we don't see it on screen. And it seems like their relationship improves a bit. They spend more time together, which is like, okay, it gets to a point where it's like, all right, maybe this guy could clean his act up and he could turn it around. And nah, just God fucking no, not even close.
Yeah, I think her performance is really good. I think she does a great job. I mean, she only says like 5 words in basically the whole fucking movie. But she conveys so much with her kind of her eyes, and even with just like the stillness of her body at certain points where she's just like so deeply repressed because she's so trapped and she knows that she can't do anything about having married this fucking dunce.
Yeah,
it's good.
So the two scenes stand out for me with that, when she's with the kids and like she's sort of just like sitting there like looking off forlornly, and then there's a scene like just a little bit after that where she's like sitting on a couch, and it's like almost exactly like the Bella scene from Twilight, where like you hear stuff going on in the background and it's just like on her the entire time. And like her eyes would be piercing if they didn't feel so like dull and like God, please get me out of here, like anything. Yeah. She's like fully disassociated. Yeah.
And then of course the joke at the end of the movie of her like sitting there just kind of like staring off into the distance like, God, I can't believe I still have to fucking pay this guy every year just to stay away from me. Like, who was it that, you know, it's like, buy my silence.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah. That's a classic like internet humor thing,
Yeah. We should talk a little bit more about the way that this movie looks, specifically the costumes. From what I can tell, from just like a kind of quick skim of the Wikipedia page, apparently a lot of the costumes were authentic.
Wow.
Like
I was going to say they seemed
pieces.
realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, and the ones that weren't obviously were based on. This movie has a very painterly quality to it, where it looks very like composed as an actual painting of the time. And you know, not only does that come through in the costumes, but obviously the set design. Everything was shot on location as much as possible, you know, or you know, not kind of on constructed sets, which is really cool. I think that really shows. Yeah, and of course the lighting that we talked about already, where, you know, there's so much, a lot of this, not all of it, but a lot of it was shot with only natural light, something that Amadeus did as well a few years later, but yeah.
And it feels very natural too. Even it like, when they use unnatural lighting, it still feels like it's natural.
Yeah, it's seamless. Yeah.
And, like the scenes of them outside in the dark, it's never like pitch black where you can't tell what's going on. That's a problem that I kind of have with a lot of movies. Not a lot of movies, but many movies nowadays. It's very difficult for me to see what's going on sometimes, which this movie does well with. Yeah. I like the sword fighting. Oh,
sure.
Like it's not like Barry is like completely devoid of all talent, right?
Yeah, no, he's a good duelist. That's his whole, you know, when he's cheating with the Chevalier, that's like his role is kind of the heavy, which is funny to think about.
Yeah. Which, because it doesn't really fit like any other part of his personality, right?
No.
And it's not like he works hard at it either. It's just something that he was like
Well,
naturally
actually,
pretty good at.
he does a good job in the fist fight too. So like
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
When
again,
they're
it's like.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, as a noble, right, it's not like you would have many opportunities to get into fights. It doesn't seem like...
Yeah.
Like, it seems really incongruous with, like, who he is to be able to do these
Who
things
he wants
well.
to be. Yeah.
Right. And who he wants to be especially, yeah.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say,
About
it's
the
fun.
fights.
That scene is funny where they're dueling, or like where they're about to have this fist fight, and they're like squaring up, and then the officer comes in and is like, now, gentlemen, you need to make sure that you are standing 6 feet apart and form a square. Like, it's just, again, like putting, these like crazy, like accoutrements to the fight to make it like less of like a down and dirty brawl in the mud, which is what it is anyway. It's funny.
I like the dude on the ground that was just straight instigating. Because, like, the guy sort of, like, makes fun of Barry. And Barry has no response. Yeah. And he's like...
his wife beats his ass.
Ask about his wife.
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
It is funny. There's a lot of, like, goofy, moments like that through the whole thing. Same with the narrator. The narrator says... Obviously, again, it's, like, dressed up in this British, very pompous-sounding language. But, like, some of the stuff he says is really funny.
Yeah.
You have to be like really locked in, I think, to really appreciate it. So
yeah. I was gonna say with the fight too, the like underhand thing that they do, that's like that was the fighting style at the time, because like if you hit somebody in the face, like you might do a lot of damage, but like you're probably gonna break your hand. Like very tough for them to set it back then, so they were like, fuck it. Like a lot of their rules were really just like, hey, if you're boxing, keep it to like the stomach and chest area. So I mean, it was just funny that they were like, I don't know. It's interesting how much accuracy they put into this, and it's like it feels really well researched, and really like the whole thing is very congruent. Yeah,
that's Kubrick's whole thing. So is like not so much, I would say, like extreme accuracy, but just extreme attention to detail. And like you can see that, I think, in some other movies, maybe even more than this one, because this movie is so natural, like the natural lighting, the outdoors, like all of that, the older style. It doesn't maybe come through as much, but there's just like, I mean, if you rewatch 2001 with that in mind, or even The Shining, you can kind of see like the extreme attention to detail is there to, create these like hypnotic, I think is a great way of putting it, kind of sterile shots that feel very like not even real, but just intense, which this movie does not have intensity the way those other movies kind of do. So
right, because I was gonna say The Shining, very much so you can feel that, because I saw like the first hour of that, and like 100%, and it draws you in at hypnotic's the only word for it, right? But
it's so
that is
crazy
intense
that you've only seen the first hour of that movie. That's just nuts.
Wow, they cut I was watching with some friends, they turned it off.
I know. You told me. I just talked with somebody who said that she has a friend who's watched the first half of Titanic, like the first VHS tape, like multiple times, and just doesn't
like never the second one
enough to like keep going. Yeah, I'm like, but you've seen it multiple times. Like, how are you doing this? Like,
well, they like that first half.
The back
obviously.
half is good. No, she doesn't like it, and so she's tried it like multiple times to be like, okay, maybe I'll like it more on this watch, but then never finishes it, which is
all right.
Crazy.
That's far more insane than like being like, oh, I just like the first half. Like, I don't want to watch the second. It's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I can totally understand wanting to watch just the first half of Titanic,
right?
Just because like the intensity and tragedy of the back half. But spoilers for the watchers out there who haven't seen it.
Oh yeah.
The ship sinks.
Lane, what the fuck,
I know. I'm
bro?
sorry. I'm
Lane.
sorry.
Dude.
This is the most fucking hacky, low-hanging fruit joke we could have possibly made there.
We could go lower. All right, we could go down to the bottom of the fucking ocean floor with that Titanic if we gotta.
I hate that you got there first.
well, I'm the one with the submarine, all right?
Yeah.
I know we all live in a yellow one, but I'm the one that got down there. Anyway, yeah. Go back to Abbey Road. Please, for the love of God, stop.
Yeah, okay. One other piece of trivia from the Wikipedia page is that this was one of Kurosawa's favorite movies.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Hell yeah.
Shout out Kurosawa. Rest in peace.
He doesn't need our shout-outs.
We're gonna give him anyway.
Anything else you'd like to say about Barry Lyndon?
Nope. I think that's pretty much
Actually,
it for me.
what about the ending? The very, very ending. The title card at the end. It's like, by the way, fuck you. Everybody's dead now.
I like that a lot, actually. I forgot what it was. I watched something the other day where it was like, it shed a line where it was like, oh, time, or like time gives unto all unfairly, or no, life deals unfairly to all except in matters of unfairness, or something like that. Some weird thing, just like yeah, like life's not fair, deal with it, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, that's kind of funny, and this movie sort of emulates that well, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what the fuck.
Yeah,
Where did I get that from? Yeah.
Cool.
So, did you
sweet.
have a movie picked out for next week?
No, of course I didn't.
Wow, Wayne. You're supposed to be the
I'm
prepared
bad at
one
this.
here.
I know, but I'm not. I'm always hoping. I'm like, it's, I hope that like inspiration strikes. I'm usually pretty decisive, so I'm not one of those people who has to pick out their menu choice ahead of time when I'm like looking at the menu.
No, I feel that. I don't even look at menus before I go to restaurants. I'll be like, they're going to have something I like, no matter what.
Yeah.
I'll just have to like feel the vibes when I get there. It'll be fun.
Do you have a like genre or like a type of movie that you'd like to see?
No, I'm pretty open. This movie felt like neutral almost. Like obviously
it's a
it's
very
a good
neutral
piece,
kind of
but,
like tone of movie.
yeah.
It's good, but yeah.
Yeah, so maybe something not neutral. Like
Okay,
divisive
something
in
with a
one
little
way
bit-
or another. Yeah.
A little bit of pop. Okay. Okay, I have something in mind, but let me... Do you want something just, like, more exciting? Or are you okay with, like, a drama still? Or
We can do a drama. I'm cool with that. I think dramas can be exciting, for sure.
I mean, you know what I mean. Like, do you
Yeah.
want something...
I don't need action.
Like a little
I'm,
bit more like,
I'm,
bleh!
I'm, no,
Well,
I don't need action. I'm fine
sure.
with, like, political intrigue, I guess I'll say.
Well,
Or, like,
okay.
social intrigue.
Okay. Oh. Do you want, like, a mystery?
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm fine with anything. You could do
Well,
a
no,
mystery.
well,
I do
okay.
like mystery movies.
Okay, well, okay, so... Okay, I have a movie.
Okay.
I would like to watch the movie Silkwood from 1983, directed by Mike Nichols.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen this movie. It is by a director of a movie that I really, really like, but I have not seen many of his movies. This movie is... Yeah, it's a kind of a mystery. It's based on a real life event. Yeah, I won't say anything else, but it's got a pretty famous cast. It's got some folks that you're going to recognize in it. Actually, probably the whole cast you're going to recognize.
Oh, shit.
And it's supposed to be like an excellent, incredible movie. We haven't done a lot of movies about women lately, I feel like.
Yeah.
We haven't done like a lot of movies starring women, so I was looking for something in that vein. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so let's watch that. Yeah, I'm excited to watch it. I've been putting it off for a long time, but... So part of the reason that I had not watched this movie up to this point is because it is fucking impossible to watch. Like, it's not on streaming, it's not on Pirate Bay, it's nowhere. So the one place that you can find it online, or that we found it, is on Cinego.tv, so Cinego.tv. If you just go there and search Silkwood, you can do it in your browser. It's a legit movie, you can find it. It's not, put your ad blocker on, but that should work for you. So otherwise you have to buy a fucking $200 DVD. So yeah, let's do that.
Cool. Sounds good to me. Do you want to do, like, the official, like, end card for it?
Oh, I read. Okay, yeah. So next week we want to watch Silkwood from 1983, directed by Mike Nichols. Do you want to continue to sing "Sail" by AWOL Nation? But
Yeah. Well, do we want to workshop that a little bit? What's the
I was
beginning
literally
line
gonna
for
say that.
Sail? Yeah. What's the beginning? It's
I don't fucking know. I only know the joke.
yeah. This is how
This is how I show my love.
Yeah. Made it in my mind because something like that. Blame it
Yeah,
on my
those are the words.
ADD, baby. Sail. I'm sorry, Kita. Kita is not appreciating my perfectly in tune singing for some reason. That just use the one we had earlier. That was like that's probably the best take you're gonna get out of me. Yeah. This last one was pretty horrible.
Oh, you're still here. What, were you expecting some sort of horrible mashup of AWOL Nation with All Quiet on the Western Front? Is that what you were expecting? You think I'm that predictable? And obvious? Well, I could never do that because I'm not that talented. But thankfully, people on the internet are.